he said, I really want something that cash flows. I really want to get in the game of, I'm tired of the hustle and grind. I'm tired of chasing the next deal. I want to do work one time and get paid over and over. And he's like, I want to buy apartments. And that's what set us off the journey of buying multifamily. Now, our first deal we did was back in 2010. And that was 144 units that we bought in Greenville, South Carolina. That was Lionsgate. And Corey bought that property for $3.2 million. We raised 1.4 of OPM, other people's money. And we sold it 5.5 years later for $8.6 million. Now, wow. Corey owned 75% of that GP. So nice. Corey, we got paid. Kahuna got paid.
Tim is one of the most authentic and genuine people I've ever met.
I sincerely believe he's coming from a position of giving, and that means a lot.
You're going to make huge progress.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Capital Raising Show. I'm your host, Tim Mai, and today I have an amazing, beautiful, the boss, the beauty, the brains behind Kahuna Investments, Miss Shelley Peterson. Shelley is a good long friend of mine, and she just been killing it in this multifamily, specifically on student housing. Her and her husband, Corey Peterson, they have over $250 million asset under management. Collectively, they've raised over $100 million. Shelley is the investor relations behind the company. And so she does everything from talking to the investors, onboarding them. She's amazing at not just building the relationship, but actually getting them to invest in the deal, right? And keeping the investors happy. And so, Shelley helps with the whole business culture and pretty much building the team and keeping the team productive and happy. They run a very lean operations. And so with that, let's give Shelley a big welcome, y'all. Woo-hoo!
Thank you, Tim. I'm so happy to be here.
yes, definitely very happy for that you're able to join us today with last minute. Really appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. I'm actually here in Nashville, Tennessee. So
nice.
I have my pink hat ready to go.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah. So Shelley, let's start out. You can share with us a little bit about you and how you got started into this business. And then we'll start with that first.
Oh, well, I will tell you, Tim, I came into real estate kicking and screaming. I said, there's no way I'm going to work with my husband. I didn't know what an LOI to a PSA to a CapEx. I had no idea what multifamily was, nor did I care, because my background was in medicine. So for those that know me, I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'm a first generation Asian American. If anybody grew up in an Asian household, Tim, you can relate. The moms are hardcore. My mom said, you go to school, you get a degree, and you make your own money. I said, okay, Mom. So I picked the most exciting profession out there as a dietitian. Ask me if I ever got a job as a dietitian. The answer is no, because I'm the worst one you'll ever meet, because I love food. I wanted to be a chef secretly. But from there, Corey and I, we met at a karaoke bar 23 years ago. We did it the old fashioned way. There was no swiping up or left like these kids do it now. And our first vacation together was, lo and behold, beautiful Hawaii, specifically Kauai, which is the Garden Island. And it was there that we discovered the life of sunsets and palm trees. You see, Corey's stepdad, we call him Bruce. He wasn't Bruce Wayne. We said he wasn't Batman, but the guy was loaded. We're like, what does Bruce do? He's got this amazing house on the beach. I mean, we woke up every morning with the waves crashing against the shoreline. We're like, this is the best life ever. What does he do? Come to find out, he did apartment investing. He was in the multifamily. And so Corey and I left the island. We're thinking, man, that guy's the big kahuna. So in 2005, guess what? We launched our company, Kahuna Investments, because Corey always said, one day I want to be the big kahuna. So there's the kahuna story. From there, it's just been a whirlwind. I've always been more of the support piece in the background. I was the driving force, Corey's cheerleader, saying, honey, go get them. So back in 2008 or 9, he said, Shelley, I want to do real estate full time. And at that time, I was really kicking butt in my corporate job as a pharmaceutical representative. I was, I had 9 representatives and I love what I did, Tim. I love being in women's health. I love that industry. And I said, you know what, Corey, if this is your passion, let's, go for it. And from there, he has never turned back. So we started wholesaling, fix and flipping. I think that's with most investors out there, right? But it wasn't until 2010, he said, I really want something that cash flows. I really want to get in the game of, I'm tired of the hustle and grind. I'm tired of chasing the next deal. I want to do work one time and get paid over and over. And he's like, I want to buy apartments. And that's what set us off the journey of buying multifamily. Now, our first deal we did was back in 2010. And that was 144 units that we bought in Greenville, South Carolina. That was Lionsgate. And Corey bought that property for $3.2 million. We raised 1.4 of OPM, other people's money. And we sold it 5.5 years later for $8.6 million. Now, Corey owns 75% of that GP. So nice. Corey, we got paid. Kahuna got paid, which was great because that was the year that Mama retired from the pharmaceutical industry. All right. So now I'm like, well, I wouldn't say I retired. The company went under, the company that I was working for. Now, if you're in the pharmaceutical industry, you are going to be really good at one thing, but that is learning to interview for the next job because it's such a volatile industry. You just have to be really good and be prepared because you're going to get displaced at any moment. And I probably went through a displacement, or I think corporate, they're very polite. They say Salesforce optimization. So it wasn't very stable for me. So at that point, I decided I'm going to step back and just figure out what my next purpose in life would be. Right. And so I jumped into real estate slowly but surely, but really more on the support side of what can I do? What would be my best role? And for those that are working together as a couple, you really got to identify your roles pretty early on because Corey and I are very both alpha people, right? And I don't like to take orders from my husband, and I don't think no woman does. But I did find a role that was mostly suited for my personality and what I can do. What can I bring to the table? So currently what I do is I help vet our investors that are coming into our pipeline. I get to know them because I'm very nosy. I love people. And then I walk them through our processes here at Kahuna Investments on what to expect when they're investing in a deal with us. And so that is kind of my genius zone, what I really enjoy doing. We also teach and coach on what we do. Corey's more on that forefront of operations and underwriting deals. But I stay in my lane, Tim. I love working with the passive investors and I love onboarding them. And I like being hostess with the mostest and just loving on people when they come into the organization. Now that's a mouthful. I know you got questions for me.
Yeah, it's actually perfect because yes, we are gonna dive deep into everything investor relations today, which we normally don't get to do as much. But we're gonna dive deeper into that today. Now, share with us a little bit about y'all's business model. What type of properties you go after primarily? What type of properties have you done? Just give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our buy box, we typically look for newer class A or B properties. We're starting to see more things built that are newer. So this deal that I think Corey's just getting under contract is a 2020 built. But right now we're about student housing heavy. So about 60% of our portfolio is student housing. And you guys, if you haven't dove into the student housing space, that is a completely different beast. Okay, that is a different way of operations because right now we're in what's called turn season. All the students are coming back for the fall, but it's also a beautiful thing because you have one unit and you have 4 bedrooms you rent out per bed. Now, I got a good taste of what that feels like. My daughter just went to college last year and I said, gosh, dang, Corey, we need to buy in Flagstaff. I'm paying $1,000 per bed a month. And guess what? It's a 12-month lease, right? So, and if the students, for some reason, they fail a semester, mom and dad are on the hook, right? So students can be a wonderful cash flowing asset, but it's also a very different way to operate. So right now we do a mix of student housing. We have traditional We're looking into other asset classes too. So it's going to be interesting to see where we're going. But this next deal, we do have another student housing deal lined up. This, once you get one deal from a broker, they just seem to kind of come to you. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah. Have you guys started doing any new development stuff? Well, I was just talking to a general contractor. He has a project right now with the developers. They're building builder rent community that are specifically for students. So they're like tiny homes community for college students, and they're doing it, ground up construction. But I'm just curious. Yeah. Have you guys done any new construction? Are you looking into that at all?
We are going towards that, Tim. We actually have a property in Georgia, and Corey had bought the land a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, and it was zoned to put more buildings on there for student housing, and then COVID hit. And so what happened when COVID hit? We all know everybody was doing home projects. So the prices of lumber went up, everything went up. And so the deal didn't pencil. But so we're now going back to the table to see what we want to do with that land. And so one of the thoughts is, why not put storage units on that land? So we're looking at developing brand new storage units to have some multi-purpose for that property. But here's a really cool thing. I had a guy in our mastermind that just spoke yesterday, and he's in the commercial real estate mixed use space. And he was talking about how to take business owners and putting them into like a multifamily unit. So let's say like a coffee shop owner. Now you're getting rent from a coffee shop owner, but now he's got a captive audience of the multifamily people. So for us specifically, I'm like, well, son of a gun, why didn't we think of that? We should be finding a business owner, putting a coffee shop at one of our beautiful clubhouses that are, we have a 632 bed property in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, and it already has a built-in coffee bar. I'm like, how hard would it be to find someone that wants to pay us a little bit rent and then operate? And it's like killing two birds with one stone. I'm like, that's why I love these masterminds, Tim, because there's multi-million-dollar ideas that just come out of the air all the time. I'm like, why haven't we done that? So guess what? We're going to start having a coffee shop owner come operate out of our student housing property. It's going to be awesome.
I love that. I absolutely love that. All right, let's talk about passive investors. How are you guys currently marketing marketing for passive investors? Like what marketing channels or method that's working well for you guys right now?
Okay, so I'm going to be very transparent. In the past, Corey will admit this wholeheartedly. He's like, we suck as marketers. So if you suck as marketers, you need to hire that out. So we have hired some really good folks. We have Anthony Simon that's doing our LinkedIn, Yakov's doing our LinkedIn. I'm giving my boys some shout outs. DC Foss is going to start running like our third party digital marketing. So we're ramping up. And the whole goal is now, for those that are on this call, we always talk about, where are you fishing? Where are you finding true passive investors? I'm going to tell you right now, it is not on this call. These people they're smart. We call you guys smart money, because you guys understand the game. We are looking for smart people, but dumb money. And so what does that avatar look like? It looks like the busy working professional. Anybody that ought to know they should have real estate in their portfolio, but they don't have the bandwidth to go out and learn this game. Because let's be real, guys, this is a very tough industry that we're in. There's a lot of moving pieces in multifamily investing, and not everybody has the aptitude, nor do they want to learn this game. So they'd much rather give it to a solid operator and say, hey, take my money. I trust you. You've been doing this. You have a track record. I like how you guys do business. And sometimes I always tell her, I'm like, can we just burn it all down and I'll just passively invest? I mean, sometimes I always bet Corey will do that because he loves this game of multifamily investing. But honestly, I mean, think about it. As a passive investor, whether you're a busy working professional, you're a physician, you love what you do, and it's smart to partner up with people like us. They need people like us because they can make their dollars work harder and further than, let's face it, the stock market. And I could say this boldly because Corey used to be a financial advisor. And a lot of folks, a lot of Americans are sick and tired of, and I know this is a cliche, the stock market roller coaster, especially if you're on the on the verge of retiring and you're getting ready to in a retirement, we have another 2008, 2009 where your 401k becomes a 201k, then you're in trouble, right? So with real estate, we are able to control the product. You can't control the product with the stock market. We don't know what we have levers that we can pull on. We can, beef up the operations. We can, the consistency. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. If you're on this call, there's a reason why it's proven time and time again that real estate is such a great investment. If you hold it long enough, good things will come, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I agree. I totally agree with you there. So share with us. So once an investor opts into your, to your ecosystem, right? Or however, they opt in, they book a call with you, however that, share with us that whole journey from the time they opt in, to all the follow-ups you guys do to, the time that they invest with you. What does that whole funnel looks like?
You bet. All right. So first thing you guys have to do, whatever pond you're fishing in, I kind of already gave you some nuggets. Don't fish in the real estate pond, fish in the right ponds, right? For us, that typically is through different efforts, LinkedIn, Facebook, Corey's book funnels. We get a lot of leads through his podcast. So Corey has a podcast that everybody hears them on. So they'll come and book a call. It's called Get Into the Deal Room. So if you have a website, for those that are solo operators, if you don't have a call to action on your website, it's like opt in, get into the deal room, right? Or if you have a free gift, a lot of times you can say, how to vet a syndicator. If you guys want that, I can send that to you. It's white labeled, but that's a good way of getting people to opt in to your website and to get on your calendar. From there, you'll be able to see all the information that you need to know about that passive investor, where they're coming from. But my goal, because since we still do a 506B offering, now the next deal that we will do will be a 506C. But for those that are doing a 506B, as in boy, which, let's be real, if you're starting out in this industry, you're going to hit your friends and family and do a 506B. Now, per the SEC, you have to demonstrate that you have at least 3 touches to that passive investor. You have to show a substantive pre-existing relationship. You guys know this. For us, our funnel, our CRM indicates that. So we send out a text message reminding them, right? So by the time that person gets on the call with me, we have already touched them about 5 times, whether it's an email or whether it's a text message. And along with that, we are doing a mailer, right? A direct mail. So if we have their email address, they've already gotten about 10 emails like, why invest with Kahuna Investments, or all your eggs in one basket. Why should you diversify your portfolio? So we're already warming up that passive investor with our email campaign. Okay. So think about how many, emails you want to have out before you hit that investor, before you talk to them one-on-one. Now, when they get on the call, I'm very intentional of why they're on that call with me. Number one is I genuinely want to get to know you. And number 2, you should be genuinely trying to get to know me as an operator. Now, I will tell you guys, I am very nosy. I will Facebook stalk you. I will Google you. My job is to keep daddy out of jail, right? So we don't look good in stripes or orange. So I'm asking lots and lots of questions. So the whole goal, if you're doing a 506B offering, you want to do one thing, and that is for them to sign what? That is the investor questionnaire, right? And the way that I present that is when I'm on the call with them, I'm like, listen, at the end of the call, I'm going to send you an investor questionnaire. It's going to come to you as a DocuSign, right? Now, some operators will do it on the phone with them. I like having it just sent to them, and I have a 99% close rate when I send them the DocuSign. So, but it's all in your delivery, right? So in the beginning of the call, I explained who Kahuna is, what our track record, what do we look for when we buy an asset. I explained how we structure the deal. I talk about A shares and B shares. Now, in our organization, Corey does it very differently in our industry. We do a preferred rate of return on the front end, and we also do a preferred rate of return on the back end. I have found over the years that investors like simple math. If you confuse them with waterfall, IRR, cash on cash, to the average American, they go, what? They don't understand. So you have to be very mindful when you're talking to these investors that they understand very simple math, and that you're explaining your process that is so simple that a 5-year-old can understand that. And a lot of times they don't even know what type of investor they are. I have to drill down. I'm always trying to probe and figure out, like, what do they want? Are you an active investor? Or are you a passive investor? Which one do you fit in the bucket? Are you looking for quarterly cash flow? Do you want mailbox money? Are you looking for a tax break? Are you looking to diversify your portfolio? What is it that you want? And they will tell you. But oftentimes I think we tend to talk too much at the investor instead of listening and just really trying to figure out, how can we help them? If you go in the mindset, how can I help you today? And I don't know if I can help you. You may not be a good fit. I tend to take it away. We may not be a good fit, right? I'm not going to take your last $100,000. We're not a good fit. Or if someone's looking to get into this game, maybe they need a wholesale deal, But for those that are the right avatar, we really do a very thorough job in explaining what are the next process. So from there, I'm explaining, here's how you get paid. Here's what to expect. I show them what's called a credibility kit. Now, if you don't have a credibility kit, a lot of these times I do these calls over Zoom because we have investors from all over the country. But if you do face-to-face, I would have a hard copy of your track record of your portfolio, what you've done, how the deal is structured, and you cannot talk about a deal if you're doing a 506B. I always say, just baby steps with the investors, right? Don't overwhelm them with so much information. Okay, so that's number one, is you're going to share your credibility kit. Now, if you don't have a credibility kit, what do, Tim? What can they do?
How I got my credibility kit, we'll talk about that. So I attended Shelley and Corey's event called Kahuna Boardroom, and they basically created my whole credibility kit for me. So that's one way to do it. But yeah, definitely you can create your credibility kits. Yeah.
But you didn't have to go that far, but thank you, Tim. You could do that, or you can go to Fiverr.com, go to Upworks, have something created for you with your logo. Make sure your branding's spot on. If you have partners in the deal, but just have something, right? Now, if you don't have a track record, you don't have credibility, find someone that does, right? Like Tim's like, I'm gonna team up with Kahuna. Now you're just teaming up with everybody, Tim. I love that about you. Tim's his own thing. If you don't have one, find a friend that does, and then work together. I mean, this is the one thing about the multifamily space, is that you don't have to work alone. It is a team sport. And that's what's lovely about this game. So from there, I also go as far as showing them what to expect in their reporting. So everybody should have financial reporting. We call it the financial dashboard. Okay. And within the financial dashboard, it's about 140 pages. You should be giving this to your investors every month of what is happening at the property level. This is going to include your rent roll, the table of contents will have everything that in terms of operations, what you need to know about that property, all the way down to the bank statements. If you're not sharing the bank statements, wow, your investors a disservice. So I always say that's part of our company culture. We have nothing to hide. We are very transparent here at Kahuna. So we even show you the checks. So, and then from there, I also say, okay, so let's say you have and I always ask the question, are you looking to place your money today? And they say, well, no, I'm not really ready yet, Shelley. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I said, but in order for you to see any deals coming down the pipeline, here's what to expect. I talk about, when we have a deal that comes out, it's pass or play. So you're actually taking I always say, creates a sense of urgency. And for us, it's true because a lot of times if it's a deal that people like, it's going to fill up pretty quickly. So I coach and I tell my investors, like, if you see a deal that you really like, act quickly, because whoever puts their money in first gets in the deal, right? I even talk about how you can take ownership in the deal. There's 4 ways to be an owner in the deal. You can invest through your LLC, through a self-directed IRA, cash individual, or joint, right? Or through a trust. So I go through the ways that they can invest. And then I talk about what to expect when they give us their money. What does that process look like? You want me to talk to you about how we do that internally, or what folks should be doing? So once we take people's money, let's go back. When someone says, Shelley, I like this deal, right? So typically that will come in a form of a webinar for Corey, for our organization, and they'll say, yes, they'll raise their hand and they'll want to invest. Okay. And then we have a team member that will help them with their paperwork. This right here, I hope you guys are taking notes, because helping your investor with the paperwork is key. Now, if you have been in this game long enough, a lot of guys already have a CRM or a portal, investor portal. For those that are doing it old school, like what we used to do back in the day, manila folders, Excel spreadsheets, if you're still that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I will tell you that it creates a lot of work on your end. Now, if you have a portal like a syndication, like Syndication Pro or Cash Flow Quadrant or whatever the portals that are available, we use Syndication Pro. We've had very good luck with that. We were with IMS, that was very too tech savvy, but I feel like investors can maneuver through Syndication Pro a little bit better. But you can sign all your paperwork online. Now, do you have videos to show folks on how to sign the paperwork? Because some investors are they're not as tech savvy, right? So you have to be willing to be able to go, you know what, if this is too much of a hassle, then let me pre-fill out the paperwork for you to get it to a spot to where they actually sign it. I think a lot of times we're missing that white glove service. I would just say in general, we're seeing customer service go to the wayside because of technology. And that technology is a beautiful thing, but we want to make sure that we're not replacing technology with customer service. So the more that you can remove the hassle factor for your investors, the more success you're going to have. Okay. From there, once they fill out their paperwork, if we do it for them or if they do it online, they fund the deal. Now, just because you have that investor's money, it doesn't stop there. So what are we doing to maintain that relationship? What are we doing to foster and cultivate? There's one reason why we do this game, right? I mean, there's lots of reasons, but when you're nurturing your investors, what is the one thing that we're trying to achieve? It's called referrals. Do we love referrals? Do we like word of mouth business? We want the investor experience to be so top notch, so wonderful. They're going to go, oh, you got to meet Tim Mai. You got to invest with Tim. You got to invest with Kahuna. You got to invest with these operators because they do such a great job, right? They say what they're going to do and they execute. But the onboarding experience is so easy that it makes it so wonderful for them just to give us their money. They're like, oh, that was easy. I can do another deal. And that's how you get people to keep doing deals with you. Make sense?
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit, and I'm gonna go into ask you a few questions on some of the things that you mentioned. So first is you have the call. Before they say yes, I'm interested in this deal. And then you have, once they say yes, you have your process of actually helping them with the paperwork, making sure, going even to the extent of pre-filling out as much as you can for them. That white glove service you mentioned, and then there's the making sure that after they send in the money, making sure that they're happy to send referrals. So those are the three they're all major components. I want to go back to the original call. Is there you kind of went through it, but I want to make sure we have the framework down. So do you send them the credibility kit before the call or during the call?
So you remember I was talking to you about the email before the actual appointment. So that
Okay.
is number one email. Welcome to Kahuna Investments. Get to know us. And in the link, it says, when it says get to know us, there's a tab that says credibility kit. So they can actually review the credibility kit before I even talk to them on the call. So that's
Gotcha.
email number one. Yeah. So
Okay.
we are dating at this point, right? I'm giving you
Gotcha.
I'm letting you look underneath the hood before you and I are having a face to face.
Okay. So now, right. Okay. So now on the call, what does your framework for that call look like? And give us it in the order in which you do it. Like what's the first talking point, second talking point, and so on. Give us that framework.
You are like a teacher guru, Tim. I love it. People like me that have ADD love people like you because you are very systematic. All right, let me give it to you. Okay, the first thing I talk about is where are we located, right? So let me back up. The number one thing that you should do on any call when you're meeting face to face is very simple. It's called building a rapport. Right. So you want to build the rapport very quickly. For others, I'm a people person. I'm going to say, I'm so happy you're here. Tell me how did you find me? Tell me more about you. What are you looking to do? Tell me more about you. It's all about them for the first, 2 to 3 minutes. Right. And then from there, I'll say, then I take control back of the call and go, here's what we're going to do. Right. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to share my screen and show you who we are and how we operate. At the end of the call, I'm going to ask you to sign an investor questionnaire. In order for you to see any future deals that Kahuna has, you're going, fill this out. It's going to come to you as a DocuSign. And they're like, great. So the framework of the call, I keep it very systematic. Number one is basically who you are in your track record as a company, right? And so I always briefly, and I don't belabor that because at the end of the day, they really don't care. It's more about what's in it for them. But I give them a brief background of who we are and what we like to buy, right? Number two is how we find, fund, and operate apartments. So I go through the structure of how do we find deals? How do we do our due diligence? How do we operate? And then from there, number three is the deal structure. What's in it for them, right? So I explain the A shares and the B shares, okay? And how they are going to get paid as a passive investor. Now, throughout the call, you are checking in with the investor. How does that sound? Do you have any questions? Right? You're not going to railroad them in your conversation. You want to make sure that they are understanding your processes, right? Number four, I like to hit them with the close. Now, the close is going to be your financial dashboard of what they can expect, right? So if you don't have a financial dashboard, I would definitely partner with someone that does or that's been in a deal that can show an example of what would one look like, right? And for us, I just show it as a PDF, right? And but I tell them that it comes in the form of their investor portal. And that's the last piece. I show them how the onboarding steps. So we have a diagram of here's what to expect next, right? Step one, fill out your paperwork. Step two, fund the deal. Keep it very simple. And then I jump on the investor portal. And so I want them to be familiar with the investor portal. Say after this call, once you fill out your investor questionnaire, you, investor, are going to get access to this portal. This is where you're going to find future deals that are coming down our pipeline. Okay. And then I show them where it says click to invest now. I show them you can view the deal. It'll come to you as a video. You can view the deal. You can watch the video. You can set up an appointment to talk to Corey about the deal. Right. And but I keep it very systematic. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. I have a follow-up question to that because you had mentioned earlier, and I want to get clear on where in the process you asked them about what their goals are, like what's important to them. Are they looking for passive income? Are they looking for wealth preservation? Like at which point do you sort of interview them about those?
At the very beginning.
Okay.
It's always at the very beginning. So at the beginning of my call, it's all about them. I want to unpack their brain as soon as I can, because oftentimes you don't have to go through everything in your credibility kit to really hit the hit their buttons, right? So if you can uncover what their hot buttons are, then you can just tailor your message to what they're wanting to hear. Like I have some investors that are very like, I've already done my research. I don't need to know anything. Like, and then I'll just answer their questions. And that's the other thing too, guys. I will say that being able to answer investors' questions within a timely manner, whether they are new into a deal with you or they're a pre-existing investor, we have like a 1 hour rule. If an investor calls or emails, I'm responding very quickly, or our team is responding very quickly, right? So to answer your question is at the very beginning, you want to get the majority of what's going to move that passive investor down the continuum. We call it the continuum. They're new to you, and how do you get them further along the continuum for them to say, yes, I want to invest with you, right? So that happens at the very beginning of the call, Tim. That's a very good question. Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna jump all the way to your strategies to get referrals. One of the things you mentioned is giving them monthly reports of all, of everything. And so do you send it out in kind of like a newsletter format, or do you guys do actual webinars to give them the rundown? Give us the insight behind that.
I love it. You're keeping me on track. But yes, so once folks invest with us, not only do they get the monthly communications, but they're getting weekly email communications of what's going on in Kahuna world, right? So we have what's called the cash flow newsletter, and we highlight an investor of the month. We do market watch with Gannon. I have my own pieces called Dishing It Out with Shelley. So we have a newsletter. We have a newsletter that gets mailed out every month. Corey's very old school, so he likes to send things through the mail. But before that, Tim, let me tell you, once someone gives us our money, I make sure that they know that their money has hit within 24 hours, like immediately, right? So if someone calls me and says, Shelley, I just sent the wire, I'm looking on our end. Our team is looking on our end. It's like, yep, we see it. We got it. We have a welcome confirmation email that goes out. Now, a lot of this stuff is automated, but then it gets sent to a team member to send out what's called an investor box, a beautiful Kahuna blue investor box. Within this box, it's going to have all their hard documents. It's going to be in a binder. It's going to have some swag, some t-shirts, and a thank you, and say, hey, thank you for investing with Kahuna Investments. And a lot of times this is it's a personal thank you card from Corey. So Corey's very old school in thanking people, but we also have these postcards that says, like what you see, got friends, refer a friend, text this number. So we put that in the box. Okay. Now, every quarter when the mailbox money shows up, guess what? Kahuna team member is calling our investors. Hey, how's it going? We want to make sure you're enjoying the process. What can we do for you? Is there, anything we can help you with? Do you have friends? Anybody that would like an opportunity? Or let's say you haven't finished out a raise yet. Maybe you're still in a deal and you need to finish out that last $100,000. You can call your investor and say, hey, was thinking of you. We still have a little bit more room left in this investment. Would you like to put more money into the deal so you can get a bigger mailbox check? And I can't even tell you how many people are like, you know what, Shelley, yeah, I want a bigger mailbox money. So it's, it's funny because they'll just say, yeah, because they're never going to reach out to you and say, I have more money to give you. You got to do the work and say, hey, we have more room in the deal. Do you want to put more money in? I'm giving you first dibs. I'm giving you first priority. Before I send this out to anybody else, would you like the opportunity, or someone that you love that would love the opportunity, right? A lot of times it's all in the delivery. And here's the thing, Tim, I don't ever chase money. It's not a right fit for them. Don't ever chase money. They can smell it. They can feel it. I truly believe that when I'm talking opportunities with an investor, it is an opportunity of a lifetime. We are very hard to find, you guys. Does that make sense?
Good? Yep, it does. This definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, I just love that strategy of, following up with them when you send out the distribution makes a whole lot of sense. right? And that's like the best time to ask for referrals, to ask for additional investments. That's really cool. All right, what else? What else do you do to get the referrals? It sounds like you probably have a whole handful of things that you do.
Oh gosh. Well, we advertise it in our newsletter. So when I do an investor spotlight, we'll have got friends, don't
Mm,
keep Kahuna secret, and you make it easy for them to refer friends, right? So give them a number they can just text or call, but a lot of it is just more of reaching out to your investors like, hey, who should I know that would like an opportunity? We work off a referral basis. Not a lot of people know that there's an opportunity like this, so please don't keep us a secret. We would love to take care of your friends and family. Let me give you an example. This is a fun story. So I had my pest control guy come into my office, and I've known this guy for 10 years, Tim, 10 years. And I'm like, how's business, GR? How's it going? He's like, oh, it's going great, but man, taxes are killing me. And I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. I said, what are you doing to offset some of your taxes here for your business? He's like, I don't know, but I go, well, have you ever thought about, jumping into real estate, like investing in one of our deals? He's like, well, I didn't know I can do that, Shelley. He goes, well, what does that look like? So I gave him information. He's like, well, I'm going to call my CPA. I'm going to go talk to my financial advisor. Now, I will tell you guys this. When they say, I want to talk to my financial advisor, you have to make sure you preface and say, your financial advisor is going to tell you, no, be careful. Oh my gosh, that's risky, right? Because they want to keep the money in house. So you always have to make sure you warn people and say, please be aware, this is not a REIT. This is not, you were actually part owners with us in this deal. So so tell your financial advisor, this is not a REIT. Okay. Number one. And then number two, I'm like, here's our information. If your advisor wants to talk to us, we would love for them to call us. Right. So here's my pest control guy. He's asking me lots of questions. He's texting me like every 10 minutes. And I'm responding very promptly. I'm like, yep, this is what you get. And I'm very quick to respond. And I'm not even kidding you. The next day he goes, yep, Shelley, that looks good. Where do I send my 100,000? And he
nice.
didn't want to do text. So I just said, all right, well, GR, here's the paperwork. Tell me when it's done. I mean, it was so simple. And I said, hey, GR, I go, who else do you know that would want to get in this deal? I still have room in this deal. Do you have any, brothers or sisters? He goes, actually, yeah. Well, hold on. So he calls his brother and his sister. His brother and sister freaking gives me another 100,000. There's like 300,000 all within a day, right?
Nice.
So I'm like, and it's just, and these are people that I would have never thought who would ever invest. It was just having a simple conversation. And so the more comfortable you get in talking about what you do and how easy the process and how we can help people, I'm telling you, you're going to be very popular. You're going to spread like wildfire. Go to a BNI group and tell people what you do. Go to a chamber of tell people what you do. Go to these meetings. They're like, how would you like to own something like this? I show people a picture of my Slippery Rock deal. I mean, it's a beautiful 632 bed property, and it looks like a Harvard Ivy League property. I'm like, how would you feel to own something like this without the hassles of management of tenants and toilets? We do all the hard lifting. We do all the work, but you can tell your friends that you own this. And they're like, yeah, that's cool, right? So get excited about what we do. I think a lot of times we go out into the field and we're like, oh, it's kind of a secret. We don't tell people what we do, or we're afraid to talk about money, or we're afraid about talking about multifamily investing. I scream it to the world. I'm like, if you're not, I make people feel like they're crazy. If you're not investing in a deal, or you don't have real estate in your portfolio, you're crazy. You should have real estate in your portfolio. You need to diversify your portfolio. So those are some key words that I like using: tax breaks, cash flow, mailbox money, all those little buzzwords, but they're true. People want that. And the whole goal is to live a life of, I always say, sunsets and palm trees. How do you gain more freedom to do what you want to do? These poor doctors, I used to call on doctors all day, and with healthcare the way it is, they're having to see, double or triple amount the patients. Their time is being sucked up, and they want a way out, or they want the option to be out, or to, cut back on their hours. Right. And so we have an opportunity to show them how, right? And so I just think as operators and syndicators, there's some bad ones, but there's also some good ones. So let's be the good ones in the world and show people how we can change their lives. Boy, Tim, you're getting me all
That's
fired
awesome.
up this morning, man.
I love it. I love it. All right. So here's a question that from Simi here. Question for Shelley. A lot of moving parts with her business. Other than she and Corey, how big is her team, GPs, boots on the ground, etc.?
Oh, that's a great question, my friend. Now, we were kind of a small mom and pop working in my house for many, many years. Sales and marketing was like my living room, but we moved into our office last year. So we've been doing this games full time since 2009. So we launched Kahuna in 2005 and then really went full time in 2009, 2010. And we just now got our office and we are just now adding the pieces to scale. So this didn't happen overnight. So we just recently hired our COO, which has been a game changer for Corey. So the whole goal for Corey and I work on our business, not in our business. And we are so close and it's wonderful. We just recently went vertical in the company. So we have Kahuna Management now. So we went from 5 employees to 47 overnight.
Wow.
And I will tell you, it's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And so that's a whole different podcast, Tim. We could talk about our hiring culture and how we do it. We only have A players here at Kahuna, and if you're not an A player, you get weeded out very quickly. Our hiring process, we put them through the ringer. Like Corey, if there's a book, I will give you a shortcut. There is a book called A CEO Does 3 Things. And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend that because a CEO should know 3 things: your numbers, your culture, and your people, right? And so this book does a dive on how you should be hiring and what you should be looking for. We use predictive index. We want to make sure that everybody takes a test before we even interview you. If you don't score a 9 or 10 on this predictive index, we don't even give you the time or day. We don't even look at your resume. It gets canned very quickly. We have built out a solid team. Our accounting department is amazing. The people that we hire have 30 years plus in multifamily management. Our gal that's the COO on the Kahuna Management side, Candy Dalton, she's been doing this game for over 30 years. So she's been running the management side. Gannon, who is our newest hire, he's Corey's right-hand man. He's our COO, and he's here with us at our event. But you got to have the right people. And you know what, you don't have to have that many people. I mean, you could be, a solo operator. I have a good buddy. His name is Mike, and he's out in the West Coast. He just hires an asset manager, and he hires regional property management companies, and he has his asset managers manage the management company, and then he deal partners, but right. So there's different ways that you can skin the cat in this game. For us, I don't know how we've grown to this level, but I just know my husband, Corey Peterson, that guy only has one lever and he's always pushing down the gas, man, because he loves this game so much. He loves every bit of it. So did I answer that question?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, basically you grew, you grew to where you are now. Started out with just the 2 of you and then to 5 and now 40 people, you said? 47. Holy cow. I did not know that part. That's amazing.
I know. Well, that's just new.
Yeah, that's super. Congratulations. Yeah. You mentioned about your event and your training. So let's talk about that. Kahuna Boardroom and your mastermind. Share with us, what are you guys doing there? And also too, like why you're doing it.
Well, I'll be very transparent. The reason why we do it is 2 things: find more deals and to find more money is really why you're going to have a platform or an education system. So for those that are getting into the space, to find, and we always go back and forth. Is it the right, it's all about partnerships too. I mean, Tim, you've grown. I mean, Capital Raising Summit is huge. And now you have people that say, Tim, I have a deal, or you can deal part. That's the beauty of this game, you guys. We always say in the multifamily space, it's Corey calls it's a polygamous relationship. We always say, find deal partners. You don't have to be monogamous with one partner. You can partner with many deals. So that's the great thing about this business. For us, Corey, when we started the Kahuna Boardroom back in 2017, I just remember he said, Shelley, there's really nothing out there that takes you from A to Z. He goes, I wish I had this when I first started out in investing in multifamily. I wish I had this. He didn't have no one gave him a credibility kit. No one showed him a simple underwriting tool. It was kind of broken up. So and I said, well, create it, Corey. And that's what we did. So our Kahuna Boardroom is a 3-day intensive where day one, we teach people how to find other people's money. It's all about raising capital. Day 2 focuses on finding a fat deal, because Corey always says, if you buy a skinny deal and it gets skinnier, you're in trouble as an operator. So you want to pencil in fat deals, which let's be real, guys, it's very hard to find right now. And then day 3 is about operations and management, because, a lot of times they're like, oh, I got a deal and we close and everybody celebrates. But I'm going to tell you, when you close on a deal, the real work begins. It's all about operating the deal and executing on your plan, because you have a big role to fulfill, and that is protecting and doing what's best with your investors' money. We like to sleep well at night, so we want to make sure that our deal is a solid deal, and we're doing what's right with our people's money. Okay, so knock on wood, we haven't lost anybody's money.
That's awesome.
And I would tell you, as operators, we have gone through the ringer, man. Student housing during a pandemic. Good grief, Tim. I thought Corey and I were gonna just like lose our minds. That was tough, right? So, and if you're on this call and you're an investor, these are the type of questions that you got to ask an operator. Like, how did you weather through the pandemic? Tell me about your horror stories. Like, you want to know all the bad, the good, and the ugly, right? And and you got to make sure that you're fit with those operators, right? So if you're passive investors, do your due diligence, make sure that you are really vetting that operator. And if you're an operator, you want to vet that investor too. Do not take people's last money. I'm like, this is your only $100,000 that you have. You are not a fit for us. No way. Right. So I was going to say something else, but I know you have a question for me, Tim.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful. And a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people think that I've been doing this forever, but I actually got started in this syndication space at the Shelley and Corey's event in April of last year, April 2022. So it's like, 15 months, 15, 16. Thank you.
Yeah, bro, you're killing it. I'm like, freaking Tim you're awesome, man. I love it. And you're just kicking butt. And I'm so proud of you, buddy. I'm so happy to call you friend. You blow my mind. You're doing some awesome things. You're helping so many people. If you are not part of Tim's group, you better jump on it right now, because he's good people.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I love that you're putting a platform together for other operators and syndicators can come together. I know that there's a lot to choose from. We have our own, but we partner up with Mike Hambright's group, Investor Fuel, because let's be real here. Running your own mastermind group is a lot of work. It's another business. So I always say Kahuna Mastermind and Investor Fuel got married. They had a baby, and it's called the Cash Flow Group. So that's where I'm at right now. We're day 2 of our cash flow group here in Nashville, Tennessee. I brought cowgirl hats for all the girls in the room. And I love seeing women investor too. So Tim, make sure you get a lot of women that are coming onto your platform, because the ladies need to be involved in multifamily investing as well.
100%. All right. So with that, Shelley, if we're not going to hold you up too much longer here. I know you have to get back to your event. So, for the people that wants to reach out to you, connect with you, invest with you, partner with you, where would you like to send them?
I'll give you a solid, Tim. I can send them a free book, and that would be the first way for them to get in touch with us.
That is perfect.
All our information. Okay. So just text the word book to 480-500-1127. Text the word book to 480-500-1127. And we'll send you a book. You'll be able to get on my calendar if you need. Listen, we are here to serve and help. We know how impactful and powerful this game of multifamily investing can change lives. So we're here to help change your life. We're here to help change other lives. And with that being said, Tim, you're doing it, changing people's lives. So let's just keep rocking and rolling out there, guys.
Thank you so much for being on this with us. I know it's last minute, and I like, oh gosh, I love you. You're
Oh,
thank you.
hey, anything for you, Tim. Anything for you, my friend. I love you long time, my friend. I can say that now.
That's right. Awesome,
All right, guys.
Shelley.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your week.
You too. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.